Hey everybody, Matt the Garden Guy here. So right now, it's mid-February, and it's time for me to start my celery and my celery root seeds. So both of these seeds take quite a long time to germinate and to grow. One note about celery and celery root, they could take up to 30 days to start to germinate. So the one thing that you need to learn or to take away from growing celery and celery root is it will take time and you have to have patience. So I've been growing celery from seed for the last probably 4 years, and I'm going to show you what I do to make it happen. So I always start with my indoor seeding mix. I grab my bucket, I'll dump this in here, and then I'll get my water and add it in here, just like I always do. We never want to add seeds to dry dirt. So we always want to add a lot of water to our original dirt in here. We're gonna mix that all up in here, and we want to get it so it's consistency that when we pick it up, it stays. It doesn't fall apart. So now that it's staying, I'm gonna grab my trays here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start filling them up. And what I do is when I grab it in here, I'll squeeze some of that water out and then just put it right in these trays here. So now that the trays are pretty much full, I'm going to go ahead and just push them down. Make sure you guys can see that. Just going to push it down, and I'm going to go back by and fill it up with dirt again. One really handy thing to have is these painter sticks. I just grab them, and it kind of helps me just swing it down and flatten it off and get that dirt right off. So I'm going to do it again, is I'm going to go by this again and push the dirt down one more time. And then I'm going to go ahead and backfill that again. That will ensure that my trays are pretty full with dirt and ready to go. So, just scrape that off. And I got my tray here all ready for the seed. So I'm going to clean up my station here a little bit. I'm going to go wash up my hands, dry them off, and then we're going to start getting these seeds in. I'll be right back. All right, now that I'm back, I got my hands all nice and clean and dry. We're going to start planting our celery seeds. So I use this Utah celery seed. That's what I use. These are an heirloom mix. So one thing to know about celery seeds, when you're planting them, they are a light germinating. Again, they're a light germinating. What that means is they need the light, so the artificial lights or the sunlight, to help them germinate. Very, very important to understand that when you're planting your celery seeds, when you're starting them. So what you do is you put your celery seeds on top, and you do a very fine layer of dirt. What I typically do is I'll go ahead and I'll actually get fresh, dry dirt from my bag with not having it with water on it, and I'll just sprinkle it right on the top. So again, celery seeds are a light germinating seed, so they need the sunlight or the artificial light to germinate. So I got my trays here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push down gently in each tray here to kind of give it a flat surface for me to apply my celery seeds. Do that all through here. And then we're going to go in and grab our celery seeds. Now celery seeds are pretty small. Make sure I have all the dirt off my hands so I can see these celery seeds. I'll come in for a close-up. So very hard to see. If I can get there in the camera here. Those are my celery seeds right here. Very small. And a darker color, which they blend in, make it blend in pretty good with this. So you gotta really remember where you put them. So what I do is I just grab a little pinchful and I grab it here and I'm just gonna bring it right around in the pot right there. I'm gonna go ahead and fill the rest of these. As I see the dirt might be a little funky in one of these cells, I'm gonna go ahead and just use my other finger and just pat it down a little bit. You might see me doing that here and there. So I've been growing celery like this for the last few years, and I keep redefining the process or making the process a little bit better every year. Like I said, remember, celery takes a very long time to germinate. So it is mid-February here. It's actually February 16th today that I'm recording this video. And I'm in zone 5B, southern Wisconsin, and we're gonna wanna plant our celery seeds, start our celery seeds right now because they take that long. I'm almost out, so hopefully I have enough to do the rest of these. I think I'll be fine. So now that I have celery seeds in all of these, remember, I would say this is probably one of the most critical things about celery seeds when you're getting them. We want to do a very, very light coating of dirt. Because remember, celery seeds, that's right, are a light germinating crop. So, that scared me. Anyway, I'm gonna grab a little pinch of dirt. I'm just gonna put it right on top. A little bit of dirt, not that much at all. That's it. Now, I'm not even gonna go on top of this with water right now. The original dirt that we put underneath has a pretty good amount of water. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go and put this in one of my trays like here, and I'm gonna put the plastic lid over the top of it. So these are my celery. So I always use one of these label makers, and I'm gonna go ahead and just label make the celery here. And why do I use this? Well, a lot of people use little sticks or some type of marker in there. And a lot of times with the humidity, putting them in here and just the water in here, they'll actually, the markings will come off. So I just use these little label makers and just throw them right on here. So you see it says celery. I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 more, 1 for each, because I might end up breaking these apart. Now after they germinate and they're up, I'm gonna know what they are by just the looks of them. But while they're growing, I'm not gonna know what they are. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm also gonna be growing some celery root. I love celery root. We use it in all of our soups that we make. It grows underground, and when it's growing and germinating, it looks just like celery. So I'm really gonna want to know the difference, because celery root is one of those crops that are gonna take almost all year before we harvest them. We don't really harvest our celery roots until the end of our growing season. So got my celery done. Now I'm gonna get another tray. I'm gonna try to find a little bit bigger one than this. Hey everybody, welcome back. So I have my new tray here all full of dirt. Just wash my hands off. Remember, make sure your hands are pretty dry when you're touching these seeds. Reason why I do it is because sometimes I end up putting my seeds back into the bag here, and I don't want to get wet seeds in there. So My hands are pretty dry. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my cell tray here. Now, I have a lot of cells in here. I'm not gonna populate this one all full of celery root. I would love this much celery root. I just don't have enough room for it all. So one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just figure out how many do I have here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna probably just do, I'm gonna do probably 18 cells of the celery root. So one thing about celery root and celery, you're gonna put all these seeds in these trays, and then you're going to end up breaking them apart. So actually, I'm only gonna do probably 12 cells of these. So let me reiterate. As the celery's coming up, and I'll do another video on this, as we call thinning out our celery. Unlike thinning out other stuff, we're actually gonna end up keeping those, and you're gonna plant those in new cell trays. So in the celery, I probably planted maybe 8 seeds per cell. If all of those 8 take off and they're great, then I have 8 plants in there. So 8 actual celery like plants. So I'm gonna wanna take each one of those apart and put them in a cell. So one thing that I always do when I grow stuff is I will grow extra, because I learned that my failure rate is around 20%. So if I'm growing 100 plants, 20 of them aren't gonna make it. It could be due to several different things. They didn't germinate, transplant shock, I gave it too much water, I didn't give enough sunlight, or give enough artificial light. So I always grow extra, just so I make sure I get what I want. So I'm gonna be starting my celery root here. And my celery root, this one comes with 35 seeds. So it's a Burpee brand, and I'm gonna use of these 12 trays right here. So the celery root seeds look almost identical to the celery, and they are really small. You see them in there? So I'm gonna be very, very stingy with putting the seeds in these cells. I'm only gonna put 2 seeds per cell. I might only end up doing 6. I don't know yet, we'll see. Because I do want to have some extra, just in case. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab these. Very, very small. And I wanna make sure I have all the dirt off my hand, because I wanna make sure I know what I'm planting. I wanna make sure I'm planting a seed, not dirt. I'm gonna go ahead and dump these in my hand. It's extremely small. And I'm gonna grab 2 of them, and I'm gonna put in the tray here. I'm gonna try to put them a little bit apart. So the tray's about an inch. Yeah, about an inch. So I'm gonna try to put them maybe about a 1/4 inch apart. Pop one in and pop the other one in. I'm gonna grab 2 more. I'm gonna go ahead and do it here in the other. There's one. Apparently I missed one. Let me try to grab one here. And when it's on the dirt here, you can see it. So I know I have 2 of them there. I'll try to see if I can get a close up for you guys here. Let me get these in here first. So I don't know if you can see it right there. That's a seed and that's a seed. Very small going down. And I'm gonna go and get my label maker here, and I'm gonna go in and label these 2 cells. Celery root's really cool when it's growing. It's gonna be a big ball that grows underground, and the stalks above are gonna look just like celery. One thing to note about celery root, as it's growing, sorry, I'm just looking for my scissors here. Here they are. As celery root is growing, it needs a lot of water. So make sure when you're growing your celery root, you do give it plenty of water to drink. I learned my lesson on that the first year I ever grew it. I was expecting big celery roots. I ended up having really small ones. And it's because I didn't give it enough water. Last year it was a little bit better, but again, this is my 3rd year growing them, so I learned a lot the last few years doing it. So again, now just like the celery, we're gonna come back by and just do, again, very small layer of dirt. Again, this stuff, just like the celery, is a light germinating, not the weight light, but the actual light, sunlight, artificial light, germinating crop. Yeah, so I'm good here with the celery root. Now you might ask, what do I got with the rest of these here? I'm going to be growing some peas and cucumbers out in my greenhouse. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be planting them in the ground. And I like to start these from seed right now. So I'm going ahead and populate these cells right here with my beans. And then I'll get another tray to start populating it with some of my cucumbers. So beans, when you're doing beans, they want to be about 1 inch down. So I have one of these markers and I just bring it down, twist it, bring it out, and I'm gonna get all of my holes in here so that I can just pop my bean right in there. All right, now that I have those holes in there, I'm gonna go ahead and grab these peas. And I'm just gonna pop 1 pea per hole, pop them right in. They're right on the top, so I'll come back by and push them down. And then I'll backfill them with dirt and get them underneath the growing light. These won't take that long to germinate. By the time they're germinated and they're a pretty decent size, I'll be able to get them outside in that hoop house that I have. Go ahead and pop them in there. Just push them down a little bit. You might ask, what are you talking about? Hoop house. You don't have a hoop house. I've seen your videos. I do now. Just got it all, it's probably about 90% done. It's up, it's got the greenhouse plastic wrap over it. I just have to finish framing in the door, put a window in, and let the ground de-thaw so I can get these in there. And I do have a video coming on how I built that. So I'm just going back by and I'm gonna backfill these peas with some of this dirt. Now, I have these peas pretty close to my celery root. So as I'm backfilling them here, I want to be very careful not to get this dirt in that celery. So I'm gonna grab my awesome, fancy, special tool, painter stick, to spray it off. And there we go. Just like that. Got my peas in. Grab my label maker. I'm going to throw a label on here so I know what I have in here. Not a celery root label. You need a pea label. Pea. All right. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get my cucumbers growing. I'm going to get them in these trays here, and I'm going to throw them underneath my growing lights here. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video today. I love growing celery and celery root, and I really hope you try it yourself. Celery is one of my favorite vegetables to eat. Yeah, I know, I'm a little weird, but my daughters like it too. We also use it in a lot of other things, our soups, bone broth that we make. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. And please, if you haven't already, I'd ask that you subscribe to my channel. Hey, and until next time, keep growing. And that's right, I'll talk to you later.